Good evening, I'm Michael, and you're watching Kini News. Have you met people who've used the MCO as an excuse to not get work done? This may or may not have something to do with our next story. If you're below the age of 21 and looking forward to vote in G15, I've got some bad news for you. The Election Commission has decided to postpone the implementation of Undi 18, including automatic voter registration, to September 1st, 2022, which is next year. This means youths below the age of 21 may not be able to vote in the next general election, which is expected to be held once the state of emergency is lifted in August this year. Malaysiakini reported that the EC was asked whether the 2022 date was a typo. However, an Election Commission spokesperson repeatedly affirmed the timeline, saying that it was agreed to in a meeting today. Previously, de facto Law Minister Taqiyuddin Hassan said Undi 18 would be implemented in July. The EC said their preparations had been affected by the Movement Control Order. Undi 18 included three key components, namely reducing the voting age from 21 to 18, lowering the candidacy age from 21 to 18, and implementing automatic voter registration. Previously, the government estimated that 7.8 million new voters will be added to the electoral roll by 2023. It also estimated that the number of registered voters will reach 22.7 million in 2023, compared to 14.9 million in the 14th general election. The Bukit Aman Special Branch Counter-Terrorism Unit doesn't mess around, and they're very good at what they do, and because of them, Malaysia is a much safer place.
An assassination attempt was plotted against some of Malaysia's top government officials last year. And thanks to the quick response by the Special Branch Counter-Terrorism Unit or E8, a Malaysian man was arrested in January 2020. The lone wolf was planning the attack as a show of support for the Islamic State extremist group. The matter was revealed today by the Bukit Aman Special Branch Assistant Director Azman Omar.
So, during the interrogation, one MCO admitted that he intended to launch a lone wolf attack targeting several government leaders by stabbing them with a knife or a sharp object as a sign of support for Daesh. So these targeted government leaders, Tun Mahathir, Lim Guan Eng, Dr. Mujahid Raya, and the AG Chambers, Tommy Thomas.
The man was one of only 7 arrests made by the E8 unit in 2020, said Azman. In comparison, the E8 division made 72 arrests in 2019 and 119 arrests in 2018. However, Azman explained that the dramatic drop in arrests does not mean the threat of terrorism has decreased in the region. According to him, the coronavirus-related movement control order has much affected everyone, including sympathizers and supporters of the Islamic State group. Azman said in an online roundtable discussion today entitled Islam, Radicalism and Extremism in the Age of Pandemic, and was organized by the International Institute of Advanced Islamic Studies, Malaysia.
For some UMNO leaders in the Perikatan Nasional Government, things could be a little awkward right now, especially with UMNO looking to cut ties with Bersatu, but not for Ismail Sabri. His vision is clear.
Ismail Sabri Yaakob may be one of the most familiar faces in the Perikatan Nasional Government. As the senior minister in charge of security, Ismail often holds the press conference on COVID-19 standard operating procedures and updates on national television. So questions arose on Ismail Sabri's position when UMNO decides to stop working with Bersatu once the 15th general election is called. In an interview published by UMNO Online yesterday, Ismail put the record straight by saying he will toe the party line when it comes to Bersatu. This means ending cooperation with the party led by Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin. He explained in terms of ministers and MPs, those in government today will continue to support it until the election. Ismail Sabri's stance differs from that of Federal Territories Minister Anwar Musa, who insists that it is in UMNO's best interest to cooperate with Bersatu. Besides toeing the line on cooperation with Bersatu, Ismail Sabri also said the party's stance against PKR and DAP is also clear, which is no PKR and no DAP. He said this was also decided by the Supreme Council and pointed out that Party President Ahmad Zahid Hamidi had said that UMNO will not negotiate with PKR to face the election.
Some of the biggest names in UMNO met last night ahead of the party's General Assembly. What did they talk about? Well, stay tuned.
Gua Mesang MP Tengku Razaleigh Hamzah received a visit from former Prime Minister Najib Abdul Razak and UMNO President Ahmad Zahid Hamidi yesterday night. The visit came ahead of UMNO's annual General Assembly this weekend. Najib and Razale are respectively the advisory board chairpersons for BN and UMNO. In a post on Facebook, Najib shared what the three had discussed during the meeting. He said they had talked about how UMNO must be firm and implement the will of the grassroots without any compromises. They also discussed using the UMNO AGM as a means to strengthen the party and foster solidarity among leaders at various levels. Najib said it was the best way to update the formula of how UMNO should move forward in the face of challenges. On Mufakat National, Najib said that UMNO should consider all scenarios and take the decision based on what the party grassroots say. He added that they had also discussed the state of the economy and various economic issues under the current PN government, including IBM's announcement that they will close its global delivery center in Cyberjaya by May 31st. The UMNO AGM is expected to see debates between two factions over the party's decision to cut ties with Bersatu in the next general election. Zaid's faction, dubbed the Court Cluster, is pushing for ties with Bersatu to be severed, while some ministers in the Cabinet Cluster want to keep Perikatan Nasional Plus intact. There is also the issue of UMNO's cooperation with PAS under Mufakat Nasional, which has become uncertain as the Islamic Party drifts towards Bersatu.
As the party is set to have its AGM, one UMNO leader has come forward with a message of unity.
UMNO Secretary General Ahmad Mazlan shared some advice to party leaders ahead of the party's General Assembly. In an interview with UMNO Online, he said party members should stop fighting with each other.
Kita dah lama lah dalam UMNO, ya. Kita tahu bahawa berlawan sama sendiri ini dia akan memecahkan parti. Adalah lebih elok kita tumpukan untuk kita mengukuhkan parti daripada kita memecahkan parti. Ini perkara penting.
Ahmad said the party was focused on going against Pakatan Harapan during their 22 months in power. However, the focus shifted after that. He said fights among party members will be more damaging than fighting against a common political enemy. He also urged party members who no longer hold office to obey and respect the decisions made by the party. UMNO will hold its annual general meeting on March 27th and 28th in both a physical location and online. The meeting was initially scheduled to be held last December, but was postponed twice due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The party leadership is presently divided between members in favor of working with PN and those against it. Apart from ties with Bersatu and PN, UMNO's cooperation with PAS under Mufakat Nasional is also expected to be debated.
Cops in Malaysia will soon wear body cams. I just hope they don't forget to charge it and press record when on duty. Mistakes even we've made at Kini TV.
Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin said the government had approved an allocation of 30 million ringgit for the purchase of body-worn cameras for the Royal Malaysian Police or PDRM. He said with the use of high-tech and sophisticated body cameras, the morale and confidence of the police can be enhanced when conducting operations. Muhyiddin said this in his message in conjunction with the 214th Police Day at the Police Training Centre Pulapol Parade Ground today. Also present were Home Minister Hamzah Zainuddin, Defence Forces Chief Afendi Buang and Inspector General of Police Abdul Hamid Bador. Muhyiddin said to build a strong law enforcing force with integrity, the values of discipline and integrity should be emphasized in the building of the character of members of PDRM.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to kinitv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. Before we go, if you'd like to support independent media, do consider subscribing to Malaysiakini.com. Head to our subscription page on Malaysiakini and check out all the attractive deals.